Hi, welcome to Conversion Conversations. This is Cameron, and I wanted to share a really interesting deck I went up against at a local competitive event. I'm running Jetfire, Tailwind, and Night Flight in a ranged control deck, and then my buddy Rob is running Wave 1 Shockwave, Caliburst, Fix It, and Night Flight. The idea behind his deck is that he's got white pips to feed to Fix It to try and system reboot me as many times as possible, and a system reboot. The first one in a turn will deal 7 damage to me as I discard 4 cards and draw 4. But then everyone after that will deal 8. And if you can get 3 in a turn, that is a good amount of damage. I thought this was an interesting deck. I think it runs into some weaknesses in design that we'll see here. The biggest one is that I get to choose where the damage goes. I lose the die roll. Rob elects to have me go first. I flip Jetfire and swing Night Flight in, and I believe my target here is Caliburst. I'm dealing 6 damage into Caliburst. He takes 5 of it. So I've faced this deck before. I think the first time you face it, you might not be sure where to go. I think you're trying to kill his engine, which is kill Caliburst as quickly as possible because it essentially halves the damage you'll take. And then I take 7 damage here, and I go ahead and spread it out. I know as a result of focusing the engine on the deck as much as possible on getting those draws and discards to have me take damage, the deck suffers from not being able to really deal damage in any other way. So like Night Flight swinging there, I'm not too worried about my own Night Flight. I'm fine putting the damage on Jetfire because he has such a wealth of health. That's, a great resource to have. And then here I'm trying to look to see what range solutions I have. If I can kill Caliburst with an armed hovercraft and then a marksmanship, that'd be great. I don't seem to have that. I go ahead and sturdy javelin him as I swing Tailwind into Night Flight here. Only doing a damage, but again, Night Flight isn't a threat. Killing Caliburst or Fix It early on, I think really stifles the deck's ability to do much. He goes ahead and plays collateral damage, and I admit I didn't know what that deck did. I had to discard a card, and I went ahead and put another damage on Night Flight. Again, not too worried about losing my Night Flight. Put another damage on Tailwind, and he elects to swing Caliburst here. I'm surprised. I guess maybe he didn't have a white pip in hand to system reboot me with Fix It. Maybe he didn't want to Fix It out early, but if he's swinging with Caliburst, I feel like, Caliburst is going to die this turn. It sucks that I got to waste my Jetfire swing on killing him unless I got some sort of range damage. Looks like I don't. But I mean, I'm fine killing Caliburst because now his system reboot hits me for half the damage it did before. And he's got, I guess, it's just blue pips in hand, unfortunately. In terms of what he's making me discard, I know that I'm not going to keep many cards in hand, so I'm going ahead and scrapping my War of Attritions and things like that. I'm just not going to build up 3 of them, and I don't super care about the repair. He vaporizes my Matrix, which I think is a good move because that just makes my little guys even deadlier. And Night Flight lives for a turn, which is surprising. So he has to send his Shockwave into my Night Flight. Well, he doesn't have to, but he chooses to get Night Flight, get an attack off the table, which I think is the right move for him. But the fact that my Night Flight lives through so many attacks kind of shows where this deck's weaknesses are. Speaking of interesting things this deck could do, I would love to see a stratagem, a general stratagem or something. It would have to be more than 1 star because it's so strong. But something that would allow you to choose the damage where it goes on effects like Shockwave, Caliburst, War of Attrition. I don't know how many stars it would need to balance it out, but I think that's what this deck needs. If we ever got a new Shockwave or Caliburst or card with that effect that let Rob choose where the damage goes, then he could knock someone out instead of me kind of spreading it out wherever I want, which is a vulnerability for him. And now that Fix It is in bot mode, I can go ahead and attack into him next I mean, getting him off the table gets rid of all those white pips that we can see in Rob's hand. I think he's got to use them to system reboot. Yeah, there it is. So he goes ahead and system reboots to hit me for some more damage. But again, the problem is just like I'm going to put as much on Jetfire as possible because he's not doing damage outside of those reboots. But I really like his idea. Like, I think it's a creative thing. I think if you let me know in the video below in the comments, if you guys want to see Rob do a deck profile on kind of how he built this deck. I know it's been something that he's been tweaking ever since, I think, Siege 1. I mean, since Caliburst came out, he's been working on it, and it's been kind of his passion project to try and optimize this thing. There are games where it really fires off, and he gets the system reboots he needs early enough. He can, tap fix it on a turn, go ahead and also play a system reboot, or brainstorm into 2 system reboots. And when he's able to do that, I mean, that just kind of wrecks you because that's a lot of damage. It's like an overwhelming advantage on turn 1 or 2. But it is, I think, a bit much to ask for the engine to get to that point. And if he doesn't get to that point, it's just hard for the deck to perform outside of that early system reboot. I go ahead and I espionage here. Sturdy Javelin. Use the Sturdy Javelin to kill Fix It and see if I can take Night Flight off the table. So Night Flight does block with the hidden fortifications. He survives, which is fine. I mean, it's 2v2, and I'm not worried about him making me discard cards. He flips Shockwave to try and draw 2, but of course I get to draw 2. And with my Jetfire engine, with Jetfire drawing me so many cards, or not drawing, but pulling cards in via treasure hunt. And that's another weakness of his deck is, right, this specific matchup, I'm getting a lot of cards in hand that don't count as drawing, so I don't really care about Caliburst damage. He takes out Tailwind, but now he's got to survive. And I think at this point, right, Night Flight can't really hurt me. I'm going to try and kill Shockwave. I don't think I'll do it this turn, but 2 swings of Jetfire should kill Shockwave. And then I think I'm thinking about what I can do. Okay, I'll security checkpoint. I show all the upgrades I scrap because I'm going to draw them anyway with an escape route soon. And I want to get some tools out of his hand. So my swing only does 2 damage with the hidden fortifications, but he's played 2 of those, and I think he flipped another one earlier, so I'm not worried about the next hit I do. And with him only having 8 health, I think, well, he's got another secret action. So we'll see what that ends up being. So yeah, he swings for 6, I block for 6. And yeah, there's an escape route. Which I can't imagine I don't pick up. Yeah, okay. Reprocess, because I don't care about scrapping his LV Gamma Disruptor. Like, that's not a... I don't think... I go ahead and play 2 War of Attrition, so he's got to decide where he wants to put that damage. And he goes ahead and puts it on Night Flight. And his secret action, okay, is a swerve to flip Shockwave into his other mode. He gets to draw 2, but I get to draw 2. So I'm not worried about that. I play a card on top. And I'm swinging with 11. And here, yeah, he flips his white pips, unfortunately, which is a risk of the deck that he's running. And I've really been enjoying the Jetfire deck list. I mean, this is Vector Sigma's hard work. John Palmer and I ran this Jetfire list, similar to this Jetfire list. I think it's been tweaked since then, but at EI, which I really enjoyed. And it's just, I think it's my favorite deck of Siege 2. Airstrike Patrol in general, I've just been having fun with. Jetfire Airstrike and then Springer Airstrike. Yeah, and I mean, If I can marksmanship, I win. Or not marksmanship, if I armed hovercraft, I win. So let's see if I flip to my other mode. I mean, I think I don't have an armed hovercraft in my scrap. I wonder if I check. Yeah, so that is the weakness of this deck. Oh, play the Matrix instead. Okay, so I marksmanship and then swing in a night flight. So that's game one, and we're going to go into game two. And I think the other issue with this deck that we'll see is it really struggles from the common thrust sideboard. This is a big part of the meta. I think if you're going to a competitive event, like it's awesome that Rob brought his own deck list, something that he brewed himself. Um, and we didn't really know what we'd see at the competitive event, but Galaxy Prime Thrust is just such a risk to run into that not being able to answer this sideboard change is a real vulnerability. So when I go Jetfire Thrust, now I can kill Thrust, or I can kill Caliburst turn one. I don't really care about what damage he's putting out. I'll let Jetfire eat almost all of it. Thrust has enough health that I'm not worried about what damage he, especially with 3 defense and a blue deck. I'm going to be blocking for 4 or 5 on average. He's not doing more damage than that on an attack, so I don't really need to play any defensive gear on Thrust. I can just kill Caliburst as quickly as possible. And I hope, yeah, okay. Rob, I was going to say, I don't think Rob would let me go first. Unfortunately, I guess he didn't have the white pip in hand to, I guess he had to set up Shockwave to get the most out of Fix It, which is a shame. I go ahead and play 2 extra paddings on Jetfire. I don't think I needed to, but I had him in hand. Why not get rid of those cards early? So now I only have 2 cards in hand. I'm less vulnerable to the system reboot. And yeah, I mean, I'm swinging base 9, right? Nothing's going to live. So he's basically got 4 turns to kill my guys. Ooh, and he drops a white pip. Interesting. So here, I mean, we have to... Okay, he's got a brainstorm in his hand. I can see that. Flip Jetfire, which makes me treasure hunt. Oh, okay. That's smart. That's actually really smart because I've got 2 more cards in hand to make the system reboot hurt more. Plays a secret action. I think that's a Sabotage Armaments. And he flips Fix It and taps him to make me system reboot. And I take 8, but again, I just put it all on Jetfire. And he gets a microprocessor off the top with his field communicator, which unfortunately, right, if he had that a turn earlier. Now Shockwave goes in. And I block all of it. So I don't know what his secret action is. He's running Swerve. He's running Hidden Fortifications. He's running Sabotage Armaments. But if I have a weapon, I'm gonna odds are I'll play it on Thrust unless it's an Energon Axe. So Sabotage Armament doesn't really help him here. I flip Jetfire. And the goal here, I think, is kill Caliburst. I could target Fix It now. I go ahead and play the Matrix because the Matrix gives Thrust +1. Oh, and I didn't tap Thrust. That's interesting. That's a definite misplay on my part. I didn't tap... Oh, I didn't tap Thrust, but I counted his math. So he should be tapped. Rob, that is my bad. But yeah, the Matrix adds +1 to thrust, which feeds a +1 back to Jetfire. So it really counts as a +2. And I go ahead, I guess I targeted Fix It. Maybe I guess just more confident that I could absolutely kill Fix It. And he does, killing Fix It does prevent the system reboots. So now unless he has a system reboot, I'm not worried about it. I hope I don't swing with Thrust. I don't think it would affect the outcome of the... Okay, no, then I noticed. I should have had Thrust tapped. Okay, good. Yeah, so right here we're seeing the issue is against a control deck, there's just no damage coming out aside from the system reboots. Armed hovercraft, go ahead and take 1 on everyone. Interesting that I guess I just haven't had the... there it is, tap thrust, swing Jetfire. And I killed Caliburst here. It was a swerve, which obviously doesn't do anything for an attack in a Caliburst. But now, so I've got, what, 6 from Jetfire plus 2 from the Matrix is 8, plus another 4 from Thrust and the Armed Hovercraft. So I'm swinging 12 base. If I've got an orange pip to put on top, I'll flip 3 on the attack. I mean, I think it's game at this point. Rob decides to see if he can put damage on Thrust, and he is able to. So I think if we had gone to a game 3, the thing to do would have been to... Oh, and there I get a grenade launcher, and I swing. And assuming Shockwave gets 3 blue pips, I need an orange. But it doesn't look like he's going to get it unless he gets a double. He needs a double blue pip to win. And that's game. Good game to my opponent. Thanks for watching, guys. If you liked it, subscribe for more matches. Have a great one.